4, 3,
And run the carousel.
1.
You're listening to the 50,000 watt clear channel voice of news radio.
3, 2.
Hello, I'm Deborah Carter, host for Gaining a Voice. On the news, we see and hear about issues and events of the day. But those stories didn't just happen. The news is the end result of much effort and planning on the part of individuals and organizations. Some of this planning only takes a few hours. Other times it may take years of strategizing, research, and getting to know journalists. Companies and governments funnel huge sums of money into media campaigns. In this program, you'll see what it takes to organize your own media campaign.
I think what we need to do is find a number of ways that we can announce to people that there is a website. And so one of the strategies that we're going to use...
Of course, anybody wants to influence public opinion. But you have to ask, how do we take even actual public opinion and translate it into awareness, activism, engagement, and support? That's how the labor movement developed. That's how the women's movement developed. That's why we don't live under slavery.
If we could get a chain of some sort to participate in this, if they'll agree in some sort of cause-related marketing, whereby maybe if it was a book chain, whereby a certain amount of their funding, maybe 15%.
I think community organizations can have an impact on the media. I think they can, by being very articulate, by being effective in their media dealings, they can play a greater role. But I think it would be really naive to think that they can sort of change the overall direction of the media.
First of all, determine what is your objective. A lot of people, it's unbelievable. You know, I've just been sitting in some volunteer committee meetings with some groups, and I'm amazed. I sit back, and there are a lot of people who are professional. They've been around a long time, and they're going around and around in circles. And I say, hold on, let's stop. Let's go back to the beginning. What are you trying to accomplish? What are your objectives? And then you take a look at what your target audience is, and that's who are the people that you really want to get to. One of the biggest mistakes that people make in communications is they try to do too much, they try to get to too many people, and they try to get across too many messages all at once.
Nobody really knew what citizen advocacy was. So your commercials have really addressed that now and have taken a linkage and have put that linkage into the few hours a week, the fact that you're helping a disabled person. I mean, those are the statements that have to be continued to get out to the public, because those are about the two major points, and the fact that people have to relate to those two key points.
That should be good to hold a press conference if there's some type of situation,
Yes.
you know, where there was racism involved, and then you could say, look, you know, they haven't dealt with it, here we are, you know.
And he said, who gives me all this information? I said, just go to Anna Maria.
For many volunteer groups, defining their goals and objectives is a constant, ongoing task. A group's objective can range from trying to eliminate racism to raising money for a seniors residence.
She has a black book.
It's more than that.
It's not just that. We're talking like this event. Okay, we're talking about the opera. We're talking about other fundraising.
Yeah, but you're not putting. You put.
Essentially, we discuss what new ideas can be presented to the media that would interest the Italian community to donate, and also the community outside of the Italian community. Why donate to Villa Marconi?
I mean, I think in their hearts everybody knows what to do. The trouble is doing it is hard. You know? I mean, it takes time, it takes energy, it takes effort, it's going to be frustrating. You're not going to get, you know, nobody's going to pat you on the head and say how nice you are, at least if they have any privilege and power.
Think locally. In other words, get to know who is the local columnist on the paper, who writes about city stuff or whatever, or in a small town. Get to know the name of the assignment editor of the local TV station. Find out who on Morningside is a producer that usually does political issues. Find out on As It Happens who's the producer that deals with foreign stories, foreign affairs. Phone up a reporter. I mean, take a reporter to lunch kind of thing. Hi, I'm from the whatever society, and I know you're busy, but there's some things you should maybe know about.
You have to get to know the person that's on the beat and who's covering a particular area. It's important for you to brief that person so the person understands the background to the story that you're trying to get across. I find media is very impatient.
The caller, when I was on the phone with you this morning, the caller didn't want information. What he was saying is there's a similar program here in Ottawa.
If you go after the media and tell them what they should be covering, you're going to run into a brick wall. However, if you create the opportunities and stories that are of interest to the general community, then the media will be interested, and therefore they will come and provide you the service that you so desperately need as a charity.
Perhaps there are situations where it would be more beneficial for a small group of nonprofits to work collaboratively, to have like a federation in theory, where together you pull in funds that are equally dispersed, or together you approach businesses and you have it's sort of a bigger package that maybe might be more attractive in certain situations.
You've planned all of this, and that's the key. It's not something that happens casually if it's to be successful. And that doesn't mean that you can't get lucky from time to time. Of course you can. But effective representation involves planning and effort.
You think of your organization, think of your community group as a product, like Tide or Cheer or toothpaste or whatever the case may be, and you go through a whole process. What is our product? What do we have that people need or want, can use? And how are we going to package it?
The logo and the name, is there any suggestions that you've come up with the name that...
Now, that is the
One way to package your organization is to find a symbol or logo which best captures the objectives of your group. Finding the right logo is not an easy task for any organization.
The name Greenpeace is in fact a logo. It's become synonymous with an uncompromising defense of the environment, and that over the years, as that has developed, it gives the organization a tremendous advantage.
Often the issue with media, as you're aware, is time. And if this story's at 3 o'clock and it's got to be on the 6 o'clock news, by the time it gets out of the edit suite, is how much time did I have to give it justice? And we have to recognize that as a reality as well.
They started early, several weeks ago, and they send press releases. I think usually the thing to do is to remind people, because we receive so many faxes and so many press releases every day. So if you do it, let's say 3 weeks in advance, you do it again, and then you do it again as much as you can as the event approaches.
You know, the Toronto Star, for example, gets over 2,000 news releases a day. How is yours going to compete against theirs? How is your message going to get out?
The best things that work is a most straightforward, most honest way of doing things is to let the newsroom know a big event is coming up in our community. Advance notice is important. Most people make the mistake of calling 2 hours before an event. We are holding a demonstration in front of City Hall about Bosnia or whatever. It's well nigh impossible sometimes to find a cameraman and reporter to send people at such short notice, because there will be 10 other urgent events taking place, and the news editor will decide, I can't afford to send someone there, and will not do it. Advanced planning, telling people ahead of time helps. Does not guarantee your coverage, but it helps.
Think about community groups.
is that it's good for them to be talking to a reporter or a contact here regularly. But they also have to realize that every time they talk to us, we're not going to do a story about them. 9 times out of 10, it may just be a courtesy chat where they've touched base and we know what they're up to now and they know what we're up to. And there's no story out of that. But the 10th time, we'll say, yeah, that's really interesting. Let's go and do that. This is time to revisit what you folks do.
Since its founding, Greenpeace has been staging events that have attracted worldwide attention.
I think that there's a reason why Greenpeace is the largest environmental organization in the world and the best known, and that's because we've been successful over the last 25 years in getting that message out. And I think that in many ways, I think in the 80s and now in the 90s, there's many other organizations in different fields that are using a similar type of approach.
Other organizations have developed other methods of getting their message out.
The consumers of media, including the public, do a lot of channel flipping. They like new things, but we know we have to stay on the same issue doggedly. So we have to at least explain why we're doing it, the details of the tactics, and what we hope to achieve. And we better have something to show along the way a little bit.
We're going to ask, are you aware of the health implications of environmental problems, possibly stating 1 or 2 relating to smog, mercury as a neurotoxin, ask them if they're supporting an environmental group, and then move towards suggesting that ours is an excellent group to support.
And historically, we have been the organization that's been something of a mover and shaker on environmental issues. We were the creators of the idea of the Blue Box program. We had a great deal to do with the elimination of DDT use in Canada, and more recently we were very much involved in the creation of the Ontario Environmental Bill of Rights.
To gain media coverage, organizations sometimes have to be prepared to make drastic changes.
Would you object to changing your name, People, Words and Change?
Well, I think at this point we should look at everything.
Okay.
It is a long, awkward name. We always have to repeat it on the phone.
It doesn't flow off of your off your tongue that much. You have to stop in between. So if you had something that was a bit quicker. People, Words and Change has a number of people on their boards who have very good contacts within the media. They have people within CJOH, I believe, within The Citizen, within CBC Radio. So in terms of public awareness, they've got an in almost because they know they've got the contacts that are extremely well placed. So that's one of their benefits. We've told them about a public awareness plan that we have for them. And today, I guess what we're going to do is to discuss that a little bit more. And if that person's got credibility, then your credibility increases. And even for fundraising, you want your name to keep coming up and people going, oh, I know what that is and I know what that's all about. So once you've got that established, the fundraising increases your ability to do so.
Sure.
So we could look at.
I guess we haven't traditionally thought of public awareness as one of the goals of the organization, but just lately, with the funding situation, with the lack of awareness, it's becoming clear that we not only have a stake in providing the service to the learners and the tutors, but also in making sure that the community at large is aware of the stake that they have in making sure that we have the resources to do that work.
Hi, how are you?
Using well-known individuals can often help a media campaign.
When they seek a person, whether it's from politics or from the business community or from the judiciary, as Frank Iacobucci is the honorary chairman of the fundraising, is they want to attach a sense of profile to the evening as a way of showcasing Villa Marconi in this case, and as a way of attracting perhaps individuals to come forward and who identify with an individual that they may have seen or read about. But the sense of pride that I feel, because we share a common bond and a common heritage, the pride that you feel in terms of what a monument and a testimony.
If Sergio Marchi wasn't here, well, there wouldn't have been the interest, and probably there wouldn't have been the audience that you see out there. There's, I would say, over 100 people there tonight, and I think that was a real draw for people to come and attend this event.
Perché vuol veramente vedere questo progetto realizzato.
Okay, not bad. We'll try it again, though. It really helps to have perhaps a contact within the media community. It really does help. It helps to have an in. It helps to have someone who's working on the inside, who can deliver the message to the people who you need to deliver it to. And that is very important. It's a really important component, because a lot of times, as you well imagine, you know, there are a lot of people looking to get their message out there, and the television stations or the radio stations or the newspapers just do not have the time to deal with all of them. They just don't.
Some would be the lucky ones.
Along with sending releases and contacting journalists, organizations need to give reporters people with stories to tell.
Well, you know what we try to do too is refer them to individuals who could tell their own story. And I know that I have a collection of those where individuals are interviewed and they tell their story. And it's a story that I think is of interest to just ordinary people because they can relate to it. And I think that the people who were involved in doing that, those reporters, had a lot more sympathy for our cause because they've now heard stories firsthand from people.
That's it.
Take 3, cue. Roll line 3,
2, 4.
We want to tell a good story. We want to inform people. If you're talking about a budget cut or you're talking about a program that's on the chopping block, the best way to explain to me and to the other people out there who might be watching our show what that means is to personalize it, so that when I call you and I say, well, how does this affect the people who are sitting at home? And you tell me, actually, I have a family, and they're willing to go on camera and talk to you about what this program has meant in their lives. And I know that that's a good way to tell the story and to try to reach out to other people. I mean, you've sold me.
We're really looking for ideas. We're going to be brainstorming, and I'll talk about that particular technique in a moment.
A group called Citizen Advocacy takes a unique approach to media planning. Periodically, they organize think tanks with communications experts who suggest fresh and new ideas for their media campaigns. Ideas like running public service announcements.
Under the beam, 25.
Bingo! Or you could change someone's life and your own.
Citizen advocacy volunteers spend a few hours a week helping a person with a disability. Why? To expand their horizons, to gain new strengths, to learn about themselves.
Like to hear more? Give us a call at 761-9522.
Focusing in on the fact that that a corporation is catering to this segment of the population?
We don't have the kind of expertise that the people that sat around this table have. If you think about first of all, what these people charge, we could never afford to bring people like this around the table. So the fact that they're doing it voluntarily is a tremendous benefit. The expertise that we're able to access. The other thing is we do end up out of this being able to move forward with a number of plans that we just couldn't do otherwise. We don't have this level of expertise.
The community, the spokesperson for any group is trying to put the best face on something. Now, the something could be an awkward situation, or it could be a pleasant one. If it's a pleasant one, your job is easy. If it's a tricky thing, then you have your work cut out for you as the spokesperson. But rule number one, don't lie to me, because A, I'll find out, perhaps. If I find out, I'm going to come back at you like a freight train. It's happened a couple of times where somebody has said something that we found out later was absolutely false, and they knew at the time that they said it was false. So we come down on them like an ocean.
The guiding principle is that the person needs to be fully aware about the issues that they're addressing. We don't want anyone who can't answer a question speaking to the issue. And so for many things, I will be the spokesperson of the organization, but we have a variety of other individuals. If it's water, it will frequently be our person responsible for water programs. If it's air, it'll be the person responsible for air programs. And they have the command of information and the expertise necessary that there will never be an embarrassment on an information issue.
The best way for organizations to prepare their spokespersons is to ensure that they give the same message.
It's very important as an organization when you're providing support to individuals and they're looking to you for your opinion and for you to help them manage the situation, that you are speaking with one voice. It's essential that people in Newfoundland as well as people in Vancouver are getting the same information and the same quality of information. But of course, with all voluntary organizations, there are different people working with the media at different times, and whether they be volunteer and staff, they may or may not have that information on hand at the time that they get the call. Or they may have a personal viewpoint on it that they may be sharing with the media. So when you have so many different groups and so many different people dealing with the media, we're very conscious of the fact that they can be giving different opinions and speaking with different voices at different times. And so that's an issue that we try very hard to control and to manage, but it is very difficult.
One.
Take. Stand by to reveal the JJ.
Okay, 20 to J.
We're competing with videos, we're competing with MTV, we're competing with home entertainment systems. So the necessity to be much slicker, much more skilled at media relations and using the media to access people, whether it's a poster on a telephone pole or production of a video, I think any challenger group, if someone who's trying to make basic change in society, has to be a lot more competent and professional in their use of media than we might have even in the 60s or 70s.
And they're willing to take a stand now. And
when all is said and done, what has been accomplished? Did your organization receive the media attention you wanted? Did your message get through? How can you improve things in the future? Asking these questions will be a good learning experience for your organization, especially as you prepare for your next media campaign.
A well-planned media campaign has specific goals, well-defined tasks, and good leadership that will harness the energy of its workers. An effective voice in the media has a clear message about a concern or issue. It's the job of your organization to convey that message. Other programs in the series will show you how to contact the media and who is the most likely to listen. For Gaining a Voice, I'm Deborah Carter.